right, good morning, everybody. So good to see so many people hopping on. Yay, hi. Okay, I'm gonna just take a second to get a few more folks admitted into from the waiting room. Just hang tight for 1 second. All right, so thank you all for joining. Let's take a moment to just take a breath. Breathe in through your nose and just come into your body. And breathe out. And we have quite an interesting and lovely topic for today. What came through for this week, I don't know if all of you had the chance to check in with last week, which was the rebirth of the goddess. And we're going deeper and deeper this week. So that's still the theme, but last week, one of the goddesses that came through was the goddess Durga, and Durga is the Hindu goddess that has tamed a tiger, and she rides the tiger she stands on its back, and that's how she brings justice to the world. And beyond Durga, there's this goddess Kali. So Kali came through for us today, and I think that this is such a wonderful, even deeper aspect of last week's message of transformation, because it's transformation, but I think we can all feel it's kind of more like transmutation. It's this primordial, deepest fears, fearless type of energy that we're surrounded by right now. And so I wanted to start first just by kind of juxtaposing a little bit Shiva and Kali. So Shiva is often been known as the Lord of Destruction, and Kali, interestingly, is also known as the Goddess of Destruction. But they have an interesting relationship. Shiva is the sort of the silent aspect of what's known as transcendental reality. Shiva is known as also the one who gives the cycles of life. He's the Lord of time. Kali is the destroyer of time. Kali is the dynamic aspect of reality, and she's known as the Black One, or the Black Goddess. And I want to read real quick from the Upanishads, an excerpt about their relationship. And so this, to quote, it says, "That is far, and at the same time that is near. That moves, and that moves not. That is within, and that is without. It moves, and it moves not." So when Kali is performing her role, reality is moving. When Shiva is performing his role, reality is static, and reality is silent. So ideally, they perform together. There's an aspect of moving and not moving, but I hope we can all feel this sort of stuckness that we may have been in, and this sense of Kali being present when reality is moving. And reality is definitely moving right now. So I want to get to next. This is an interesting story. I hope I'm going to sum it up, and I might have to do a podcast to get it totally right. But the idea of where Kali came from, there was these dark forces and demons that were taking over the earth, and they got one last contract in that said that their leader would be frontline, or the last person to go down in the battle. But if the moment a drop of his blood hit the earth, then 10,000 more demons would pop up. So it was kind of this interesting sort of curse. And so the goddess Durga was chosen to face all these demons and face this head of the demons. And so she slays all the demons with all her multiple arms and all of her power. and she goes to fight the big dude, and the moment a drop of his blood hits the ground, there's the demons just multiply and multiply, and they're laughing at her, and she gets really upset, and she sort of knits her brows together, and out of her comes this screaming, scary goddess, which is Kali. And she's, you know, she's black flesh, she's a stack of bones, her hair's wild, her nails are wild, her skin is just sort of like barely hanging off of her flesh, and she's got these like red hands and red tongue, and she starts screaming. She lets out this howl, and the sound of her voice, at least a quarter of the demons fall dead. And then she she breathes, and then another quarter of the demons fall dead. And then she focuses with her third eye, and another portion of the demons fall dead. So she's not even fighting them, she's just her energy. So then she goes to meet the big dude, and she slices him with her sword, and then she picks him up and she starts to drink his blood. So this is the way she gets through the curse. And so she holds him up until the last drop of blood is drunk, and then she tosses his body, and then she realizes she's drunk off of the blood of this demon. So she starts to just sort of wildly dance, and she's smushing the bodies of all the demons, and everybody's getting a little bit upset, or not upset, they're getting concerned because of this wild power that's been unleashed, and it has fought the darkness, but it's not controllable, it's not able to be controlled. So Durga's husband and Kali's husband or consort is Shiva, and Shiva is goes to try to calm his wife down. And so he's yelling at her, he's asking her to stop. She can't hear him. She's just smashing the demons and with her feet. They're already dead. And so he's in one final gesture to get her to calm down. He lays himself down underneath her feet, and she's stomping around. And then it's only when she realizes that she's stepping on her husband that she sort of wakes up and comes to. And now this is interesting because I want to share a photo or two of you with you guys of her. So here is a photo of her, and you can see she's standing on her husband. And it's interesting because as we're considering this rebalance of feminine power, it's a little scary for all of us, I think. So this story is one consideration for why she's depicted as she's depicted. I'm going to share a couple, or at least one more photo with you guys of her, and I want to offer one more. So this is another rendition. You can see her red tongue, right? And so I want to offer one more interpretation of Shiva and Kali, and this says there's a it's about Shankaracharya, and it says, in the beginning, Shankaracharya did not pay attention to women. He felt that women were not suited to spirituality. Then when he was about to lose a debate to someone about this, it dawned on him that Mother Kali was standing on Lord Shiva's chest. There are two ways to interpret Mother Kali's pose. Some say that Shiva was giving her all his energy and all his power, and that's why she was able to kill all the enemies. Another way is to say that Shiva was dead and Kali was standing on his chest to revive him. So you can choose whichever explanation you prefer. So that's also another rendition for why this woman is standing on her husband. I just think it's so curious for all of us. I find it curious. As we seek to rebalance, we're seeking to harmonize the divine masculine and feminine within each of us. But there's this fierceness, this dark power is what we've been taught, and it is dark, but it's needed, and it's needed to save the world. And in some sense, it's interesting that Kali's standing on top of her husband. And I'm not saying we need to trample our partners, but I am saying there's this truth aspect, this truth telling, this aspect of the warrior goddess that's fearless, that is up for being remembered and being re-embodied. So I also want to share Ram Dass, who he passed away December 22nd, I think, last year, 2019. And he has a wonderful way of talking about Kali. He talks about, you know, when all the frustrations and the anxieties and the fears are up, he says, you know, that's exactly, Kali feeds on that stuff. And so he kind of jokes, and he pretends like he's a little kid, and he says, just give it to her. Just say, here, Ma, you eat it. I don't want it anymore. I don't want this food. Just take it, you know? And it's interesting to think about that powerful aspect of how she's here to help us right now consume. She feeds on our fears, and our fears are up, right? And for all of us, I feel like it even kind of went deeper a little bit this week, so as to ultimately get clear. But I love that Ram Dass just says, you know, when you're really ready to give it to her, because that is her food. You know, this dark stuff that we get all afraid of and we get consumed by, she's the one to consume it. And not only that, she's possibly a goddess aspect within each of us, or she's at least a goddess that we can come to commune with. So I want to just give us a moment or two right now. Let's see if I can find one more photo. And I want to just see this. This one's cool. This is a more modern version of Kali. To me, it looks modern. Check in. Is there anything you want to give to her right now? Is there anything, you know, the ways that we've been habitualized into being? Kali's here to help us clear it out. So, you know, and she's often called Kali Ma, Kali Mother. And she's helped us to really be able to embody the truth, to be the truth, to seek the truth. So just for a moment, just see if you can sort of close your eyes and commune with this goddess. Her energy's here, and all the stories about her, but really how she has this potential to slay the quote unquote demons or dark forces that are in our world and just really in us. So just a few breaths here to see if she actually also has any messages for you, or she wants to tell you something about herself. When she came through for me, it definitely felt like a mother, a protector, and also an invitation to kind of remember that this is potentially within all of us, and it might be something that we can benefit by re-embodying. Okay. So let's get to this idea of, you know, I think I sense that Kali is here to help us with not just transformation, transmutation. These types of cultural, personal, societal, global upgrades that are needed for our planet to be the way we all want it to be. So as we consider transmutation, I want to offer a tool. And the tool that I want to offer is, it has to do with the, you know, the idea of a butterfly. You know, we all know that a caterpillar makes itself into a cocoon and then becomes a butterfly, right? But one of the things I want us to consider is that that caterpillar literally melts down into, it dies, it loses its whole form, and it becomes this sort of liquid goo. And then the imaginal cells wake up and they start creating this butterfly out of this goo. And so we're kind of in this state right now. So I have a little picture. I got really into sharing pictures this week. So you can just, when you look at this photo, we can totally see this massive transformation that's happening within the caterpillar, right? So if this is our world, and if this is ourselves, and if, you know, the butterfly is where we're headed, we're kind of, we might even just be barely crawling into the cocoon, or we're in the cocoon and we're melting down. So this practice, I wanted to keep it simple, and I want to invite you to consider that this is a tool that you can use every day, because we're likely getting triggered a few times a day at least. And there's nothing you need to do it. You can do it when you're standing in line at the store. You can do it when you're sitting on your couch, when you're talking to your mom. But I invite you to imagine sort of ourselves as in this chrysalis, and as we're sort of in this cocoon time. As you breathe in this chrysalis, breathe in golden light, and imagine it just sort of swirling in a cyclical manner down from the top of your head down to the soles of your feet. And then when you breathe out, swirl that up from your feet out through the top of the head. Breathe out any anxiety, any fear, anything that's blocking your centeredness. We're going to do this 9 times. 9 is the magic number here. So breathe in golden light, and imagine it just sort of swirling down around your body, around this chrysalis, down to the soles of your feet. Breathe in that golden light. And then as you breathe out, up from your feet to the top of the head, breathe out anything that you're ready to release, any anxiety, any fear, anything that's in the way of your balance. Again, breathing in, that golden light circles down around you, down to the soles of your feet. And then breathe out, take it up and out, and as it leaves, let it carry with it the fears, the triggers, the deep demons that are ready to go. So we've got 6 more breaths. Actually, I'm going to do 7 because I don't know if everyone did the first one with me. So breathe in golden light, take it down to the soles of your feet. Imagine yourself in a chrysalis, and then breathe out from the feet out to the top of the head. Just let go. And you can even imagine you're giving it to Kali. Breathe in, take in more golden light. This is always available for you. Breathe out from the feet up to the top of the head. Anything that's blocking you from being centered and balanced. Breathing in again. Down to the soles of the feet. Golden light. 9 is such a great number. It's this magic number where it's just enough time to say we really do mean to do this. Breathe out from the feet up to the top of the head. Anything that you're ready to release. 4 more times. Breathing in. Call in that golden light. Feel it swirl down around you, almost cleansing you. And as it comes back up on your exhale, it's just bringing with it all the heaviness, all the gunk, all the stuff that's up for release. Breathing in. Call in that golden light. Let it swirl down to your feet. Breathing out. Up from the feet to the top of the head. Let it carry with it any heaviness. Breathing in from the top of the head down to the soles of the feet. Breathing out anything that's ready to release. And then just one more time to make sure we got 9. Breathe in, call in that golden light. Breathe out. So notice how you're feeling now. Hopefully more balanced. But with this energy of Goddess Kali, you know, this time is really inviting us to connect with our deathless self, with our eternal self, with that part of us that exists beyond all physical circumstance. That's not to say that we're going to throw our hands in the air and run away, but it's so that we can find this centered place, so that we can renew our commitment to be love and to be wisdom in action and to be truth seekers. And this goddess feminine energy that Kali is showing us is not only fearless, but wild and free and powerful. And truth seeking and truth speaking, and just fearless on a whole nother level, and also smart in her own way. But she's also the balance, remember that Shiva and Kali are the yin and the yang in some sense. They're the action and the non-action, where when Kali's acting, things are shifting. When Shiva's acting, things are stabilizing. And right now Kali's here to shift, shift, shift. And the other thing I think she wants to share with us is, with her fierceness, she wants us to remember that it's good to surrender too, that we don't have to charge into battle. We get to know when we're supposed to speak and when we're supposed to act. Okay, so let me stop this share. How's everybody doing? Was that resonant with folks? I hope so. Yeah, okay, good. I'll probably do a podcast with more info on that story about Kali. I was just summarizing it, but I think for those of us seeking to re-embody, to fully embody, bring back the balance of divine feminine, the fact that this was the goddess that saved the world is pretty nifty, and maybe the fact that she's standing on her husband's back means that they still have this yin yang support, and he knows that he needs to stabilize her and give her a foundation while she's doing her work. That's kind of what I get. And I want to, so a lot of people call her Kali, but Kali Ma, Kali mother. Ma means mother. So also to consider her as this mothering energy for us that is here to support us with all the dark gook, demonish energy, that the fear and the anxiety that we may experience. So the last little practice that came through that I want to share is, it's a heart-based practice, but I think it's still, you guys are all muted, so you don't have to worry about whether you're making, I'll check on that. I think this thing automatically mutes everybody. Yeah, everybody's all muted. So I'm going to invite you to either aloud, if you feel comfortable in where your living space is or wherever you're listening, or you can just listen to me. I'm obviously in the cab of my truck getting good internet at the library, as I was last week. But we're going to chant, and it's going to be Ma, M-A, invoking Kali, plus A-H, which is invoking the heart center, the heart chakra. That ah sound is the tone that gets our heart chakra balanced, and trained right to the spot where we're shining brightly and all systems are go. And I really do believe that our heart is our powerful center, but also this goddess is here for us. So we're just going to chant Ma, if you feel like it. If it's a little too uncomfortable for you, if I surprised you with this and you're, sitting in your living room with your grandmother, that's okay too. Like I said, you're all on mute, so nobody's going to know you're just going to hear me do it, but we're going to do it a couple times. And I want you to imagine that we're going to breathe in, and then as we breathe out, and even if you're not speaking, but as you're sounding, you're sending this sound and this light around the world. And so sound, travels a little bit slower than light, which is why we see lightning before we hear the thunder, but light can travel around the world instantaneously. So what I want us to consider we're doing is, there are people here from around the world. So we are a web of light. So as we're sounding, we're connecting and sending this love. And I'm going to give us a couple intentions as we're sounding, but really this is an activation for us to, I think it's great because it's going to be able to bring us back to balance. And then also it's us kind of invoking this, whether you're male or female, this goddess healing ability that's innate, we already have voices, we already have heart centers. And then Kali's here to help us sort of wipe out, or she'll consume the gooky stuff, right? So let's go ahead and let's just do this once to activate. So you're just going to sound ma, breathe in, and then send this light and sound out. Ma. And imagine that that's just you. I hope you can feel that higher vibration. We're all kind of like, oh, here I am, you know. So let's do it again and just activate this web of light. So breathing in. Ma. For the next 2 times, let's imagine that we're sending this to the earth, to Mother Earth, and to the grids that are present and that are sort of coming online on the earth to help us with the bright future that we're creating. So we'll do this 2 more times and just imagine sending love and light to the earth and to the grids of the earth. So breathing in. Ma. One more time, same thing. Inhale. Ma. And just feel that kind of aliveness. The amazing thing about stepping into ourselves as healers is, like I mentioned last week, the karma is that we get everything we're giving. So you can kind of feel as you're channeling this, you're receiving it. So let's move next to the electricity. Every kind of electricity, the nuclear stuff, the coal electricity, also the wind and the solar power and the solar wind, so that we are also electric beings. But let's just send love to all of it because we can. So for 2 breaths, whatever you feel like sending the most to, you can, but let's just, any aspect of electricity around our planet. So inhale. Ma. Wonderful. Once again, same thing. Breathe in. Ma. All right, so we have 2 more things we're going to send love to. The next thing we're going to send love to is to the 5G network and to all the satellites around our planet. And by doing this, we're going to balance things out. We're going to seed it with light. So this is the transformation, transmutation power that we have. I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about that in a future time, but just know that time and space don't matter. We collapse those as humans, and that the power of love within our hearts is really what's needed to up level the heaviness on our planet. So imagine you're just sending this love. Goddess Kali's with us. We're invoking her and this heart vibration to the 5G network and to all the satellites around our planet. So 2 breaths. Again, breathe in. Ma. Awesome. One more time. Inhale. Ma. And then the last thing we're going to send this to is to the virus and to all of the people that it's impacted. If this virus, many have suggested, was created in a lab, whether or not that's true doesn't matter. It's become clear to me that it feeds on fear and it's actually seeking love. So we can give it some, just simply send love to the virus and to all the people that have been impacted by it, because we can. And we can allow Kali to do the work of the light and dark balancing and just sort of transform all the darkness, but we're the generators of light here. So let's do this 3 times for this one, and then we'll be good with the chant. So same chant, MA plus AH. Breathe in. Ma. Wonderful. Again, inhale. Ma. And then one more time, sending love to the virus and to all it's impacted. Breathe in and then send love and light out from your heart. Ma. All right. Thank you guys for participating in that. Gosh, I think that's probably the most profound thing that I've participated in thus far. It's so needed on our planet right now. So Kali's here, and I'm feeling called to do a podcast to give us a little bit more information. Like I said, I went through her quickly, but really, you know, I want to remind you, and I think she wants to remind you that you're a powerful transformer. And we've forgotten that. And I wanted to share, it's interesting, I'm doing a heart alchemy course, and I've been kind of geeking out on this science, but the stories are really, they really help our mind. I think the rational part of our mind that still seeks some sort of confirmation. I want to share a story about how powerful we are. It's a guy named Gary Schwartz. And back in 1951, this guy, when he was 7 years old, his dad was they had those box tubed televisions, and his dad owned a repair shop, and he was fascinated by the little bunny ear antennas. And as a 7-year-old does, he noticed what would happen if he put his hand on it, and he just yanked the antenna out of the TV and he put his finger in the spot where the antenna was. And he came to know that it was the brightest, clearest picture beyond the little TV antennas, that he was the antenna. And then so then he also did the same thing with the radio receiver. He took off the antenna, and he, as a 7-year-old would, fearless, just sticks his finger in there, right? And the radio signal became so clear. And so that's the type of stuff, you know, we don't need that evidence, but can you feel the kind of giddy joy of like, man, like we're powerful beings, you know? There's a YouTube where somebody put the remote car sensors that you can turn your car on and off, where somehow it was, he found the distance where his car would, it wouldn't work. And then he put it to his head and he kept walking, and he like tripled the distance to be able to get the little thing to interact with his car. So I'm kind of on and off topic here, but the last thing I want to share with you is this empowering information of why that Ma chant was so powerful. And I really hope it does give us this sense of, oh, I am in control in some sense. And I might have forgotten how much of a receiver and a conduit of light that I am. And it's interesting to think, so this guy, Gary Schwartz, went on and spent his life, first he studied the energy that healers were sending, and he could actually pick up that there was a massive amount of energy that would course through the hands of a healer. And then he noticed that he wasn't a healer, but there was still plenty of energy that was coursing through his hands. So our bodies, the motion of our bodies generates electricity, and then also our thoughts generate, that's kind of more quantum physics, but our thoughts have impactful power. You know, that's the Washington, D.C. crime rate reduction studies. So I'm kind of a little bit in left field with the topic of Kali, but because I'm working on this heart alchemy course and I really want us to feel empowered, I want you to know that everything you do, even when you're inside, is super powerful. And back to the message of week 1, the vast amount of chaos that we see points us to the potential for transformation. Because if we're considering that chrysalis idea and we're going through transformation, it must melt down in order